Good evening, and welcome to Monday Night Politics, sponsored by the Dallas Examiner. I'm Christy Thomas, coordinator for tonight's event. Tonight, I want to give the candidates and the audience a few housekeeping guidelines to ensure that the forum moves smoothly, so we can provide a space that is safe and conducive to learn about each candidate and their platform tonight. I will start with candidates. Candidates, you will have 2 minutes for your opening statement, 1 minute for your answers from the audience, and 2 minutes for your closing statement. And any questions that come from the moderator and the audience is 1 minute. Our guest timekeeper tonight is Mr. Anthony Marshall. He will provide a placard to inform you of the time you have left to answer questions. Candidates, this time should not be spent talking about your opponent. It should be spent talking about whatever your plan is you want to implement for the plan if you're elected. Please remain respectful throughout the forum and respect the space that has been donated to us for the purpose of educating our community on political candidates. Now to the audience. We're so thankful for your presence tonight. We ask that you formulate your question where it pertains to all candidates. You will have 1 minute to ask your question. We ask that you not ask any personal questions, especially not questions that pertains to any type of litigation that is you're going through with anyone that is running as a candidate. You will be allowed 1 minute to ask your question, and only one question can be asked, to allow time for others in the audience to ask questions. Again, please be respectful to prevent from any interruptions that could cause us to run out of time and not hear from each candidate listed to speak tonight. Any member of the audience should line up to my right, and you will be provided with a microphone so that you can ask your questions to the candidates. I want to thank you in advance for your cooperation and for your interest in being more informed about candidates running for office in your community. The Dallas Examiner has been presenting Monday Night Politics, Meet the Candidate, for over 18 years prior to major elections. I want to stress that all candidates are invited through email invitation. These candidates were pulled from the official ballot provided by the state of Texas. The Dallas Examiner does not endorse candidates. We could not do this alone. Our sponsors are nonprofit organizations, too many to name, Black sororities and fraternities, the NAACP chapters, the Links, and the African American Museum. Our moderator tonight is Eric Wilson, who is no stranger to our political climate. His career in politics started when he was elected to the Dallas City Council in 2015, where he represented District 8. His tenure on the council included serving as Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. Wilson's educational background includes a bachelor's degree in finance from the University of Texas at Arlington and an MBA from Emerson University. He remains committed to working with and preserving the diverse landscape in his community of District 8 and addressing economic disparities within the community where he still resides. Please help me welcome him to Monday Night Politics. Lastly, please silence your phone. Video recording is not allowed. Taking pictures is not allowed. It's also prohibited for this event. On behalf of Molly Belt and the Dallas Examiner, we would like to thank you again for attending Monday Night Politics and Meet the Candidate. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Just kind of do it for a long day. I know Monday. All right, try again. Good morning. Good evening. Good evening. All right then. I just want to reiterate a couple things for the candidates. When you are answering your questions, I believe all of our races have been through this too. The questions are going to come quickly. Okay, so be prepared to stay up here to answer the next question. When you do, when it is your time to answer the question, please step forward about here so that you can the lighting and address the audience and the camera for that to be seen. Speaking of the camera, wow, I was going several times last week. How many of you all were here last week? Good. Okay. All right, for those that were here last week, it was amazing how I saw myself on the internet before we left the place, and it wasn't on the Alexander website. So with that, please, no photography, no filming. You have your team here. Tell them to put it away. All right, candidates. Again, this is your time to talk about your campaign. I don't want to hear that your opponent doesn't like cats and you like dogs. That's not what we're here for. We're here to learn about your campaign as to why you're the best candidate. Audience members, please respect the 1 minute rule. When you come, ask your question. We don't want to hear the reconstruction of Jim Crow era and how it applies to this question and how you got here. Okay? Ask your question. Make sure your question applies to both candidates. So if you're going through, we have judges, if you're going through any type of litigation, you have a case in that court, you cannot ask a question about their case. They will not answer it. That will negate your question. Also, one last thing. It is the form. It is not a back and forth. So once you ask your question, that is your question. If they want a clarification, I'll give them the clarification. So it's not a time for you to go back and forth. If they didn't answer the question, or you want to add something else to the question, what they will do, they will cut into the candidate's time to answer that question, and we will move on to the next question. Okay? All hearts and minds clear? Yeah. All right. Oh, one other thing. Audience members, if you get long with and ask your question, be prepared for me to say, what is your question? And that is the time for you to ask your question. Okay? All right. All right, our first race for tonight is Family District Judge, 301st Judicial District, and we have candidates Tawana Allen first, and then Danielle Clark next. All right, if you'll have your 2 minute opening.
No.
Thank you. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I'm struggling with my voice today, so I'm not trying to impersonate Gary Williams. I am trusted for more than 20 years. I've been trusted by hundreds of mothers and fathers as they move through some of the most difficult times in their lives. I've also been trusted by the district judges who want me to represent the most vulnerable people in the county, and that's the children. I am, as the district judge, I would do the thing that I've always done, which is to give thoughtful consideration to all the cases that come before me. It is my advocacy for parents and for children that allows me to see what litigants really need when they come before the 301st District Court. I'm also transparent. I don't need to bolster my resume or hide from the truth. I'm going to stand firm on my record as an attorney, as a certified mediator, and as a consistent advocate for children. So I'm asking for your vote to be your next judge for the 301st District Court. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. First, I am Danielle Clark. I am a woman of God. I'm a wife. I am a mother of 2 boys. I'm a daughter. And I'm a son. I was born in Dallas, Texas. I was raised in Lancaster, Texas. I spent all of my grade levels in Lancaster. And I graduated and I went to UT Austin and I went to Texas Southern University for law school. I came back home. I've been a practicing attorney for 18 years. 15 of those years have been exclusively in family law. I have spent 11 years as an associate judge practicing family law. Most people ask me, what is that? What does that mean? As an associate judge, I hear thousands of cases every single day. I hear cases from CPS matters. I hear cases from adoption, modification. I hear complex property cases, divorce cases. That's what I do every single day. In addition to that, what I have done all my time on the bench as an associate judge, which is an appointed position, I have helped the court go from the lowest ranking court to the highest ranking court. And what does that mean? It means that we have the highest deposition rate in the whole entire county, from the civil court to the criminal court to the probate court to the civil court. And I would like to bring that to the 301st court. Also, I have implemented a pro se docket. What does that mean? A pro se docket is a docket where I have all pro se litigants and I take my time and help the pro se litigants get to the finish line. I would like your support in being the next judge for the 301st court, and I look forward to the questions.
All right. You will encounter parents locked in bitter custody battles where both sides claim the other is unfit. These parents may have different parenting styles, different values, or genuine concerns about each other. How do you cut through the conflict and emotion to determine what custody arrangement serves the child's best interests?
Great question. So, first of all, I have to look at all of the circumstances. Every case is different. So I start off with, where are the parents? Have the parents first I start with the custodial parent, the non-custodial parent. The custodial parent is generally the parent that has the most access to the child. The non-custodial parent is the parent that doesn't. So in a situation of what you just asked, I would start off with the non-custodial parent, seeing how much access they have to the child. And from there, I would make a decision as to what is in the best interest of the child. I look at all types of things, the contact that they've had, the type of relationship that the child has with the parent. I look at the things that they do together, the things that they're learning from the parent. So there's all types of things. And looking at that and making a decision.
The question was, how do you cut through the conflict between parents, I believe? In my experience, I think I would start with what's common to parents. As a certified mediator, I have to do that when I take the role as a mediator, cases, family cases, as well as CPS cases. There's always a common ground between parents. And then the next thing is to definitely consider what the conflict is, what is best for the child. Want to consider the education needs, the medical needs, the day-to-day needs, and which parent is going to provide the most support for their child on a day-to-day basis.
Some divorce cases involve complex assets like businesses, professional practices, real estate holdings, or retirement accounts. When one spouse has been the primary earner and the other is focused on homemaking or child rearing, how do you approach providing the property fairly, and what factors matter most in determining the just and right division?
Thank you. So first I would say that the parent, the spouse, who does not work outside the home still brings value to the home, right? And so just because you have an earning spouse doesn't mean that that earning spouse needs to walk away with 100% of those assets. Those assets belong to the community. And so what I would do is start with a 50-50 split, and then see what factors would lead me towards something that may be more disproportionate based on the behavior of the parties or based on other assets and things of that nature. I do have that experience also as a trial attorney with presenting a case in the district where there's a complex division of assets as well as business. Thank you.
Okay. So some of the things that I will first look at is the earning capabilities of the parties. So if there is a parent that does not work inside the home, can they work inside the home? Do they have any sort of disabilities? I would also look at any type of assets they have, such as property, houses, cars, retirement funds, annuities, all types of outside income that I can look at and just put it. This is community property state. Community property means it's 50-50. What's yours is mine and what's theirs is mine. And so also look at if there's any children, what type of needs do the children need? So there's all types of things, and you can always award a disproportionate share of the property.
Many people in family court cannot afford attorneys to represent themselves. These individuals often don't understand court procedures, rules of evidence, or the legal rights, or their legal rights. As a judge, how do you help self-represented parties navigate the system without appearing to favor one side over the other?
Great question. So one of the things that I've implemented is a docket that starts at 8:30 in the morning. I start that docket at 8:30 in the morning to help the pro se litigants. And not only do I help the pro se litigants in the 330 court, I help pro se litigants in other courts as well. The word has spread around the courthouse that Judge Clark will help you get to the finish line. My favorite website is texaslawhelp.org, Texas spelled out. It is an organization that has helped individuals in all types of cases, family cases or what I specialize in, but they do property, probate, they do all types of things. So I do that. I also partner up with the different legal clinics with SMU and also UNT Dallas in helping them with their processes as well. And so I plan to continue to do that and also to expand the program.
So last year, I actually received an award for my pro bono service with the community of Dallas County. So I'm very familiar with this population of residents who just simply cannot afford legal assistance. One of the great things I think that's already happening in the 301st District Court is that the judge works with the coordinator to assist pro se applicants. And that way it frees up some of the court time because the coordinator is helping to streamline the paperwork that they need. I agree, Texas Law Help is a great resource for people who can navigate on their own, read the forms and things of that nature. I also want to include resources on the court's website so those folks can access different resources in the community as well. Thank you.
All right, now let's open up for the audience. If you have questions, please come up. And for those who are upstairs, it's a great opportunity to exercise. If you want to ask a question, come down and ask a question.
My question is, do you all have any mentoring programs for the youth? How do you all target them?
Well, there is an intern program for law students. I'm not familiar with the intern program at a young age, honestly. I think that accessibility to the court is important. I think it's good for students to see the court in action, and so as a district court judge, I would definitely open the doors and probably invite the students in special days to observe court proceedings, as well as remain in the community and have forums like this, so that students and aspiring lawyers can understand the process of what's meant to be recorded.
That's a great question. First of all, every year since 2019, my husband and I, we have an annual scholarship. And it's called the Judge Danielle D.S. Clark Scholarship. We give it out to individuals in the southern sector of Dallas. I've been doing that. It was established in 2019. That's one way that I do it. Also, with our court, the 330 District Court, every single summer since I have been on the bench, we take in interns. We take in interns through the Dallas Bar Association. We take in interns through the different organizations that are out there. And we do internships through the summer. We do them during the winter break. And we also do them during spring break. And we mentor young children. Thank you.
Any more questions from the audience?
Are either of you, well, that's great. Do either of you have any plans to try to become board certified in the area of family law?
Great question. So prior to taking the bench, I worked at the Attorney General's office for 3 years. And during that time that I was working at the Attorney General's office, I was actually working on their certification. Anybody that has any experience with the Attorney General's office is a high volume document. And so I was working on it. I have plans on becoming board certified.
Question was regarding taking the exam to become board certified, and I don't have any present plans to do that. There is a very lengthy application. Kudos to people who've already done it. It's something. Would I do something like that in the future? Absolutely. I'm having current plans to do it.
Any more questions from the audience?
Good evening, everyone. We all agree that divorce is a difficult time in everyone's life, and preservation of the family unit is tantamount to a productive society. So, will you order joint in-person co-parenting education in your court, and why?
Let me make sure I understand the question. Would I order joint?
In-person co-parenting in your court, and why?
Put them together. Depending on the facts of each specific case, I would consider whether or not a co-parenting course is necessary, and then whether or not the parents would be able to take the class together. A lot of times there's so much conflict between the parents that it's usually best that they take the class separately, that they learn things individually, and then they're able to come back to co-parent in a healthy way. I don't think that it serves parents with even child to force parents to sit in an environment where it's already a lot of tension. So I would definitely consider that as my business.
So currently, I do order in-person co-parenting classes. And why do I do it? Because some people need it. Now, every case is different. Some people get married on Monday, on Tuesday they're separated, and on Wednesday they're ready to file divorce, and they both come back. There are some times when people have to deal with each other for 18 more years. And so they need those tools to be able to navigate how to effectively co-parent. So co-parenting is good. I like to do in person. The reason why I like to do in person is because when people are in person, they're more serious. When people are online, they're listening, watching TV, they're washing the dishes, they're doing their hair, they're doing everything but being focused. But when you're in person, you're focused and you're ready to learn and figure out how you can navigate this.
Hello, I know both of you personally. How do you balance the finances, the cost of in-person parenting classes when they're having to take off of work to attend those, as well as pay for the divorce proceeding and potential division of their estate? How do you balance whether or not it's economically feasible for the parties to take an in-person course?
So some of the things that I personally look at is most attorneys start out billing anywhere from $350 all the way up to $700 per hour. It is cheaper to have parents to figure out how to navigate their problems opposed to having to constantly come to court and pay an attorney. So to me, it's cheaper for them to go learn how to co-parent opposed to paying attorneys constantly coming to court.
So, I don't think it's feasible to force parents to pay for an expensive co-parenting course. So it just really depends case by case what type of case it is. Sorry, what type of class it is. Because those parties are still going to have to pay the lawyers, whether they do the class or not. You know, you got a lawyer and you want to keep that lawyer there to pay the lawyer. I think that it's probably more feasible to do something like mediation if the parties are able to sit down and talk with each other versus spending a lot of money on a dedicated co-parenting class. Thank you.
How do you ensure that mental health concerns are addressed without unfairly penalizing a parent who is actively seeking help?
Yes. So, in my work with people who are involved in foster care and the child welfare system, I've represented parents who have mental health diagnoses. I've represented children of parents who have mental health diagnoses. So I've been an advocate for a parent, been an advocate for the child. But at the end of the day, the parent needs to assume responsibility for getting their own care. Right? All that we can do as members of the community is help point them in the right direction. They still have to take that step to say, yes, I need help, I accepting me. It's not really about penalizing, it's about accepting responsibility for taking care of yourself. It's a health care issue. Mental health is a health care issue. And so we definitely want to encourage parents to take care of themselves, to take medication that's prescribed. Don't just prescribe medication for a reason. We want to encourage you to take the medication in order to be healthy for yourselves as parents and your children.
So in cases where I have people with mental health issues, first of all, I don't discriminate against anyone. If someone has a mental health issue, I try to work with what they have. So what does that mean? The best interest of the child is still their parent. So I have to figure out different safety measures to put in place. Does that mean that they need supervised visitation? Does that mean that they need supervised visitation at a facility? So I look at all of those circumstances. The only time where someone's visitation would just be completely excluded is if their rights have been terminated. And if there's not a termination out there, then it goes against public policy to not have any sort of access. But just because someone has a mental health problem does not mean that they can't be visited.
If you're standing, there are plenty of seats available.
Good evening. I have a two-part question, and it deals with judicial independence and ethics. How will you ensure that your decisions are based on law and facts, not pressure from attorneys, donors, or political supporters?
Great question. I've been on the bench for 11 years, and there are quite a few people that are in this room that practice before me. And they know me, and I have no problem with saying no. No, no. If it's not right, it's no. So just because someone donated to a campaign, or just because someone dropped off some cookies to me, does not mean that changes my decision in anything that I do.
Well, I think that is the responsibility of the judges to make sure that they are fair and impartial, regardless of campaign donations or friendships or anything else for that matter. That's part of having a just court, is giving everyone an opportunity to be heard the same, fairly and equally.
What's your stance on political? What's your stance of elected officials posting social media, posting content, personal and work content on social media during work hours?
Okay. So I'm running for the right to be a judge, and I know that is frowned upon. It is against the judicial ethics to use your work time, especially here in your office, if you're on the bench, to post anything related to that. I hope I answered your question.
Work hours are to be working. So as a associate judge, I do not even look at social media during work hours. But there are some people that have social media teams, so perhaps if people are making social media posts during work hours, it's because perhaps their team is doing it. But my work ethic is I'm a worker. I'm there on time, and when it's 4:30, I'm not running out there. I'm still at work. So hopefully that answers your question.
All right. Really works now.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Testing. Okay. All right. Well, time flies when you're having fun and a line of questions. I said if you all have warmed up to questions, that's great. It's wonderful. All those questions for the next candidates. All right. So now, we, as the candidates prepare for their 2-minute closing, just remember that you'll be able to see tonight's recording. You go to the Dallas Examiner tomorrow. It will be up for your viewing, and now we'll have your 2-minute closing.
Again, everyone, I am Danielle Clark. I am running for the 301st District Court. I am qualified for the position. I have spent the past 11 years as an associate judge. I have been preparing and growing for this position. It is an open seat, and that's why I'm running. I have gained the support of so many people. Some of the Democratic organizations that I've gained support from is the Teamsters Local Union 745, the Stonewall Democrats of Dallas, the Lake Holland White Rock Democrats, the Preston Holland Democrats, the North Texas Asian Democrats, the 23rd Senatorial District Tohono Democrats, the Black Lawyers Magazine, the Dallas Morning News, the Dallas County Tohono Democrats, the Richardson Area Democrats, the Dallas County East Democrats. I have the support and I have been endorsed by almost every single Democratic organization in town. I am asking for your support. I am asking for your vote. I am ready to take this to the next level. I am a worker. I am a worker. And I will continue to make you all proud of the things that I have accomplished and the things that I plan on accomplishing. And so I'm just asking for your support. My website is danielleforjudge.com. My social media handle is @JudgeDanielleDiaz-Clark. My email is votejudgediazclark@gmail.com. So again, I'm asking for your support for the 301st District Court. Thank you.
So I am Twana Allen. I'm also running for the 301st Federal District Court. I was born and raised in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I attended the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. Shout out to all the HBCU graduates. From there, I went to Oklahoma City, had an opportunity to work with FAA, so I moved to Oklahoma City. I was completely bored as a young 20-something-year-old and decided I was going to go to law school. While I was working during the day, I was in school at night. I don't recommend it, but it happens. And then I had an opportunity when I graduated to determine where I was going to live. I considered all the major cities, and I chose Dallas as my home, right? And so since I've been here, my sister and her family have moved here, my brother and his family's moved here, my mom has moved here. I just get my dad here, everything will be just fine. I've built community here, and I have spent the last 20 years of my career working for families in this community. That's mothers and fathers and children. And with your vote, I will take my service to the bench as your next judge of the 301st District Court. Thank you. Website is Twana Allen for Judge, number 4, Twana Allen for Judge. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, as we're leaving, we will have our next race. Family District Judge, 330th Judicial District. We have Tamika Jones first, and Ashley Gradney second. We'll have a 2-minute open.
Good evening. I'm Judge Tamika Jones, and I am your candidate for the 330th Judicial District Court. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a Dallas native, Dallas County native. I was born over at Parkland Hospital. I grew up in Cedar Hill, Texas, so I'm a Cedar Hill Longhorn. Terminal Twins Loose, that might be a little bit far back. I went to the University of Texas at Dallas and Richardson. I went to Texas Wesleyan University School of Law, now Texas A&M University School of Law. And I wanted to tell you that I have practiced family law exclusively for the last 21 years. Once I graduated from law school, I immediately began work at Legal Aid of Northwest Texas, helping no-income and low-income families. I practiced there for 10 years. While I was there, I became board certified in family law. I went into private practice, and while I was there, I was able to better expand my practice of law, learning complex litigation, complex property cases, and for the last 5 years, I was appointed by the 7 district family courts to serve as the associate judge for the 302nd Family District Court. Tonight, I'm asking for your support and your vote. I look forward to hearing your questions, and thank you.
Good evening, and thank you to the legendary Molly Bell, the Dallas Examiner, and the African American Museum for providing this forum for us. My name is Ashley Gradney, and I am running for the 330th Family District Court. I have a master's in business administration, and I got my law degree from the Southern University Law Center. I have a heart for service, I really do, and ever since I hit the ground in Dallas in 2013, I have been active in the communities. I have been a member of the J.L. Turner Legal Association, which is the Black Bar Association, for over a decade, and have served in many capacities and as a two-term president. At such time, during these times, I would give information and resources to the communities and neighborhoods, such as Beckham Center, because people need information and resources. On top of that, my leadership extended as the Secretary and Treasurer of the Dallas Bar Association, and that's over 10,000 lawyers. I was able to receive the award, the 40 Under 40 Nation's Best Advocates Awards from the National Bar Association. That's an international honor, and I've been rated by super lawyers in both probate and family law. These accolades are great, and I really am honored to receive them, but I understand that titles don't reunify families. I understand that certificates do not give fathers or mothers access to their children to help them raise them. And I also understand that credentials don't mean anything if you don't show up and do your job on the bench. So I'm asking for your support, and I look forward to answering more questions.
Child support cases often involve parents who have fallen behind on payments. Some are genuinely unable to pay due to job loss or disability. Others have the means but refuse to pay. How do you distinguish between a parent who can't pay and one who can pay? And when do you use contempt and jail? And how do you distinguish between a parent who can't pay and one who won't pay?
Okay, very good question. I've represented people on both sides. Those who are ready and willing but are unable, and those who have a lot of resources but just won't. Child support is set by the legislature, and the legislature determines at what child support is set at depending on your income, and it's a sliding scale, and it's different for people who are self-employed, and it's different for people who are a minimum wage earner and get a W-2. If you are just not paying child support because you're not seeing your kid or you don't want to, that's something we need to look at, and there may be factors on both sides, whether the parent needs to, monitor the possession and access, but that's not a pre-existing condition for not paying child support. Also, if you lose your job, you need to let the Office of Attorney General know, because once that interest attaches, there's nothing a judge can do to let that go, and that adds on. So even if the other parent says, I'm going to forgive you of your arrears, that interest is still owed to the state. Can I hear the question?
Child support cases often involve parents who have fallen behind on payments. Some are genuinely unable to pay due to job loss or disability. Others have the means but refuse to pay. How do you distinguish between a parent who can't pay and one who won't pay?
So I hear these cases every day. And the way that you distinguish is by the evidence and the facts presented. And you make those considerations based on what's presented to the court. As my opponent said, there are parents on both sides of that issue. Parents who will not pay and parents who cannot pay. But the code, the family code, specifically tells you what to do based on the income of the parent. If there's a parent who's able to pay, and you can determine that by the information presented, you calculate that. And whether you want to pay or not, there will be an order put in place telling you that you will pay your child support. If you cannot pay, the court and the code, the family code specifically states, if you are physically able to pay, mentally able to work, physically able to work, they base your income on a minimum wage.
Next question. You'll see cases where a parent struggles with substance abuse but wants to maintain a relationship with their children. Some judges believe addiction means someone shouldn't have custody. Others believe in supporting recovery while protecting children. What's your approach to cases involving parental substance abuse while balancing the protection of the child and preserving the parent-child relationship?
Thank you for that question, and thank you to give you an opportunity about something I'm able to do as the Associate Judge of the 302nd. I preside over the Legacy Family Court. That is Dallas County's family CPS drug court. In that court is about reunification, and that court is about keeping families together. But if a parent has issues with substance, the court has to keep the best interest of the child at heart and safety at heart. But what that court does is provide resources to the parent. We put parent in inpatient treatment. We put them in outpatient treatment. We put them in sober living. And so long as they are safe, productive, working on their sobriety, they are allowed access to their children in a safe and protective and loving way. So that work focuses on reunification. It focuses on keeping those relationships healthy and building and strong. Thank you.
Thank you. The question is regarding substance abuse and access to kids.
Okay. I represented clients in this very same situation. Some have substance abuse and they have asked for help and they've gone into inpatient treatment facilities, and some who are unwilling to recognize that there is an issue, and then the safety of not only themselves but their children and family members are at stake. You have to look at these cases individually, and I can't make somebody do something they're not ready to do, but what I can do is try to stabilize the situation and provide the children with some type of safety plan if something were to happen. That may be like you have to go to inpatient or outpatient treatment. You may need a breathalyzer in your car. You may need supervised visitations with the kids. So it's really going to depend on how extreme the situation is and what type of substances are being used and whether or not we need regular drug testing to see how much time you get with the kids.
Next question. After divorce, one parent may want to relocate for a job, family support, or a new relationship. The other parent objects, wanting the child to stay close. Texas law allows courts to impose geographic restrictions on where a custodial parent can live with a child. When do you impose geographical restrictions, and when do you allow a parent to relocate with a child?
Thank you for that question. Being a person who has lived in many different types of family court situations personally and represented people in these same situations, I really am a big proponent of family unification. Whether the parents stay together or not, I do believe that the children need to have access to both the parents. Whether their parenting philosophies are different, shouldn't have to be on the child to figure that out. The child should be in a loving home, in a stable home, regardless of any type of parenting disputes or how they decide to parent. And the issue of a job somewhere else, it depends on how far that job is going to be from the original geographic restriction and how much money is going to be brought in. You got to look at those circumstances independently to make the best decision, because if you're going to get paid $80,000 more, but you move 800 miles away, is that going to be better for the kid? How are we going to maintain that relationship and possibility for the child?
Hello, yes. Okay, so I think that what you all have heard, and you've heard a lot of these, you've been to a lot of these forums. Some of these things are already laid out for us in the family code. There is a presumption that there will be a geographical restriction in that case. At most of the time, it's Dallas County and contiguous counties, because the legislature and the judges believe that that children should be able to maintain close relationships with both parents. So not only do I believe that that's important, the legislature believes that it's important. It's written into our laws right now, and I would continue to follow the law and apply the facts as necessary.
Audience questions. If you have a question, please ask your question. I say y'all warmed up in that person.
No, it's like,
Many judges say they value community involvement, but rarely show up once elected. What does ongoing community engagement look like in your courtroom after election season?
Thank you. So, I think it's important for me to say that family law has been my life's work. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, but professionally, it has been family law. And the way I serve this community is that I have shown up my entire legal career to help the people of Dallas County with their family law matters. That's how I show up in the community. Yes, I'm involved in the Dallas Bar family law section. Yes, I helped with legal clinics. Yes, if you need me somewhere, I'm there. But how I show up for this community is by going to work every single day for these families, doing this work specifically. Well, I've mentioned some of my previous servant leader positions, with J.L. Turner being the president, the secretary treasurer of the DBA, and other capacities as well. I too am a single mother, but not by choice. My daughter's father was killed when she was 3. And I do have a full-time job in addition to those other servant leader positions. I believe in showing up in the community, and I've never left the community. I have been here from day one, serving the community in servant leader positions, as well as when people needed access and getting bailed out for PR bonds when they are protesting and having their constitutional rights infringed upon with their freedom of speech. I believe in bringing resources to the community. I believe in being a community servant. That doesn't stop when I become elected. It's just a continuation of the service that I've already done in Dallas County.
So a couple of things. I've kind of been watching what's going on in Harris County. I think, I don't know, to the extent that people have been watching it, definitely feel like a lot of Black women judges are coming under attack. So with that kind of context, I think it's super important that the people we elect to these positions are the best and highest and most qualified. So to that regard, my question is, I believe both of you have judicial experience. I think you might be a former judge. I think Judge Jones is the current judge. My question is, how many years of judicial experience do you have in family law since you both have served with judicial positions?
Okay, so I'm not really familiar about what's going on in Harris County, but I can say, being a Black woman, I understand that it's not to be judged by the scum of the whole. And that is unfair because we don't apply that standard to everyone else. I am an individual and I'm running in this race. I served as a part-time municipal court judge for a year. And during that year, because I was part-time, I was able to keep my own law firm. That not only let me see both sides of the bench, but it made me a better lawyer and advocate for my clients, and it made me a better judge. I see what happens when we have individuals coming to court and they're scared. They see a judge for the first time. We have a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of things aren't helping our diverse minority, majority community here in the county. So I want to be a safe space, a trauma-informed court, and I want to be an open court. And I don't want to do anything that is going to embarrass my community, and I will try to put my best face forward every time. Thank you for the question. I have relevant judicial experience in family law. I have served for 5 years, will be 5 years in March, April, as
an associate judge to these 7 family district courts. So that's the work that I've done. I serve this community every single day in that role. I am at work. I serve pro se litigants, just like Judge Clark mentioned. I have a pro se docket where those pro se participants can come in and get not legal advice because I'm the judge, but I'm working and partnering with the public defender's office and the DA's office to bring that information and those resources to those parties so that they can come in and get the help that they need and move their cases forward. But to answer the question, I have been the associate judge to these 7 family district courts for 5 years.
Audience question. All right, parent alienation occurs when one parent systematically undermines the child's relationship with the other parent. However, the term is sometimes misused to silence legitimate concerns about abuse and neglect. How do you identify genuine parental alienation versus a child's legitimate preference for safety?
Thank you. So we try not to use the term parental alienation, and I would say that we take these things and those things on a case-by-case basis, and it's very fact-specific. If a parent comes in and says that they're being alienated from the child, they're being kept from their child, there are other facts behind that. So you have to get underneath it. You have to dig. You have to ask the right questions or elicit the right questions to find out, has there been abuse? Has there been neglect? Has there been, are you being alienated, or have you been absent and left? So while the court wants what's in the best interest of the child, and the court also believes in reunification and having that child be able to have a safe relationship with both parents, you really have to look at the facts and apply the law every single time. You can't get around it.
So parental alienation is a term of art that's usually reserved for. Parental alienation is generally a term of art and it's reserved for people who practice or specialize in that area, child psychologists, therapists, and those type of credentialed people. If a parent or a litigant is coming into my courtroom saying that the other parent is alienating the child, I need to look at some more specifics. What does that mean? And is that different parenting styles? Is that different disputes? Do you just not like them this day? Having been a single parent, not by choice, I understand what alienation can be, but I also understand the trauma of a custody dispute and divorce. Divorce is the death of a relationship, and with that comes grief. You're going to go through all the stages of grief that you would in a normal death. So you have to look at it and use your judicial discretion and your individual discernment to see what's actually going on here. Does that child need to see a therapist, or do I need to dive deeper into the facts of this case to see what's really going on underneath?
Any more questions? One last question. Child Protective Services cases involve some of the most difficult decisions a judge makes. Whether to terminate someone's parental rights permanently, the burden of proof is high. The consequences of getting it wrong are severe either way. Walk us through how you approach these cases while making the decisions. Walk us through how you approach these cases and what gives you the confidence in making decisions with such profound and permanent consequences.
Okay, so it's the origin of a Child Protective Services case can come from many different ways. It can be an anonymous call, and it can be escalated from anything to a service plan to being charges being filed from the DA's office. And we have to look at that. Standing here before you now, I'm may not have guessed that I have been investigated by CPS, but I have. And that's because I understand what grief does to someone. My daughter's father was killed when she was 3, and I was sued for that by the parental grandparents for that access. By suing me, one of the leg ups that they were trying to get is having me investigated for abuse and neglect. So in those type of circumstances, you have to look at it and see where is this coming from and what's the origin. Now, if the DA comes in with a stack of pictures and there's bruises or there's evidence of assault and violence, you need to take that differently than how you would call for something like disputing parents or grandparents. Question again, please.
Yes, family district courts handle some of the most emotional charged or high stakes cases. Here we go. Child support cases often involve parents who have fought. Yes, there we go. Thank you. All right. That's what it truly is. Child Protective Service cases involve some of the most difficult decisions a judge makes. Whether to terminate someone's parental rights permanently, the burden of proof is high, but the consequences of getting it wrong are severe either way. Walk us through how you approach these cases. What gives you the confidence in making decisions with such a profound, permanent consequence?
Thank you. So, as the associate judge, I hear the CPS docket. I hear the CPS docket up through final trial. And one of the things that I've always heard is that a CPS termination case is equivalent to a death penalty case because you are severing that parent's rights to their child forever. So when you are looking at those cases, you have to look so closely to the facts of that case because there is no going back. And as a private attorney, as an attorney for the parents, as a parent for the children, the whole time you should know that the state's mandate is to reunify if possible. So I would say, and I will continue to say, it's so fact specific because the consequences are so great and you just have to be so mindful and think about what you're doing.
Well, to our 2-minute closing as you think about that. Again, you can go to DallasExaminer.com tomorrow and you'll be able to see tonight's forum. And with that, we'll have a 2-minute closing.
Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm sorry, thank you for having me here tonight. Again, my name is Tamika Jones. I'm running for the 330th Judicial District Court. You can find my information at Vote Jones for Judge. I don't know why that was available, but FOR for Judge. And I just want to reiterate again, as we look at these judicial races, sometimes they don't seem as important as who's running for governor, or who's running for senator, or who's running for House rep. But these courts are so important. So many things happen that affect everyone's day-to-day life. Everyone in here has had someone being touched by a family court, through a divorce, through a custody case, through a CPS matter. And while you may continue to hear that experience does not matter, it absolutely does. Certification does matter. I am proud to say that there are less than 7 Black women in Dallas County who are board certified in family law. I'm proud to say that there are 2 Black women who are board certified in child welfare law. And I'm proud and humbled to be one of those 7. I'm proud and humbled to be one of those 2. And my goal is to make sure that any attorney, certainly Black women, certainly Black men, because there's so many good Black women and men attorneys, they absolutely should be seeking their board certification in family law. And I am working with one of the judges now to make that happen for as many who want it. And I'm asking for your vote, and I'm asking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you again all for being here. It is Monday and I know that we're all tired and we come here to get educated and informed. So thank you for listening. My name is Ashley Grady. You can find me on Instagram at Gradney, the number 4 judge, and that gradney4judge.com is my website. I have been in this community. There's a lot of familiar faces in here. I didn't just become active when I decided to run. It's because of my involvement in the community that I am standing here before you to run for this elected position. I am proud to be standing here as a Black woman. I am proud to be under the tutelage of many of my mentors who have paved the way before me, because I understand that my ancestors would have never dreamed that I could have been here today. So I don't take that lightly. I want you all to understand that I will continue to be engaged in the community. Being knowledgeable of the law is very important. But I'm going to tell y'all something that no one else has said. We get free resources, y'all. Listen, judges get free resources. We know that we get the code. We have to open the bench book. We have to look and see what's there. We have all the tools we need to make an informed decision, but are we going to do it? And are we going to continuously be involved in the community? I didn't just start this election today. This is something that God paved the way for back when I was in high school. I had to go through all of that to get here today. And it's because of my experience that I am here. I didn't change my name to be on the ballot. I didn't change who I was to stand before you today. What you see is what you get. And I am here and I'm asking that I can earn your vote and that you will vote for me. I'm number 1 on your ballot and I should be your number 1 choice, because I understand what it's like to be on both sides of that bench. And we need somebody who's going to rule with a compassionate heart, but also in the spirit of justice. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Does the early voting begin? Hello? When does early voting begin?
February 17th.
And what's special about voting early?
It's 10 weather time.
Correct. You can vote anywhere. Now, what's special about election day? You have to vote at the precinct. Right. Our next Justice of the Peace, Precinct 2, Place 1. We have Margaret O'Brien, Christina Whitfield Sewell. All right, we do ask that we do reach out to both candidates to request their presence. Those that show up, have your time. And with that, we'll begin with our 2-minute opening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. I know it's Monday and it's late, but we do appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you being here. My name is Christina Whitfield Sowers. I am running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 2, Place 1. That sits in Rockford. That area covers Garland, Mesquite, Sunnyvale, Saxon, Gulf Spring, a portion of East Dallas, and the Dallas County portion of Hawaii. I have a 20-plus year paralegal. I've been in the legal field for a very long time. I handle mostly civil litigation. I've done some immigration as well. So I have that experience. I am running to bring fairness to the court, to bring transparency to the court, and more accessibility. Again, thank you for being here.
These questions are really quick. All right. Let's start with the first one. Eviction cases form a significant portion of JP court documents. These cases pit landlords' property rights against tenants' need for housing stability. You'll see people facing homelessness, sometimes with children who fell behind the rent. How do you balance moving these cases efficiently with ensuring tenants' understanding of their rights and having fair hearing?
I would do that by calling following the law, but still having some compassion for what's going on, looking at the circumstances. Also, can you hear me back there? Now? Okay. Following the law, having some compassion, looking at the circumstances of everything, making sure as far as the tenants understanding their rights, clearly explaining what's going on, with them having attorneys available if needed, Dallas Eviction Advocacy Center and Legal Aid of Northeast Texas. Dallas Eviction Advocacy Center and Legal Aid of Northeast Texas, clearly explaining what's going on. Once a ruling is made, clearly explaining what comes next to each tenant so that they understand what their next step is.
All right. Next question. Small claims court is where regular people come to resolve disputes without hiring lawyers, such as car accidents, property damage, unpaid bills, consumer complaints. Many are intimidated by the legal process. How do you plan on making your courtroom accessible and understandable to people representing themselves while still maintaining an appropriate procedure and fairness?
My motto is to always be fair, no matter whether or not you're represented pro se or if you're representing or being represented by an attorney. I would have packets available for the pro se defendants so that they know their rights, they know what steps to take. I would have my clerks and staff trained on intaking the information, properly intaking the information, and just making sure that when I hear the cases, that I hear it. I listen well, I listen carefully, and I hear what they're saying, understand what they're saying, and rule based on the law.
Next question. JP courts handle Class C misdemeanors, including traffic violations. For some people, a traffic ticket is a minor inconvenience. For others, especially those living paycheck to paycheck, fines and license suspensions can mean losing their job or being unable to drive to work. How do you handle traffic cases fairly while recognizing their different impact on a person's life?
So looking at each case on an individual basis, I do understand people are living paycheck to paycheck. Times are very hard out here. The fines are already kind of assessed, but making sure that people are in a position to pay those fines. Having payment plans, having community service as an option as well.
Time for questions from the audience.
I just am curious to know what you seek to achieve if and when you take the bench.
Thank you for the question. What I would like to do with this bench is to make the court more accessible. I understand that this court has recently adopted the e-filing system that a lot of courts have been using for a number of years now. I want to fully embrace that. I want to fully train the staff on that, as well as offering hybrid hearings. People work. Not everyone can take off. Not everyone's bosses as limited as some bosses are. So having that option to appear via telephone conference or by Zoom or Teams, whatever the remote thing is, just making the court more accessible to people. I also want to bring the option of having birth certificates issued in that court as well. That's not an option at this moment. So there are quite a few changes that I want to make, and those are just a few.
That's a fun question. Many voters don't understand what a Justice of the Peace Court is or does. Explain to us your range of cases that this court receives and what types of cases have you handled or experience that you have that has prepared you for this court.
So a Justice of the Peace Court is usually the first court that people will enter when they're dealing with the court system. It is a people's court. Justice of the Peace Court handles small claim cases up to $20,000. They handle debt claims, evictions. Most people only talk about the evictions, but they do handle disputes as well. They handle some truancy also, as well as driver's license suspensions, getting those driver's licenses taken care of, and what do they call it?
occupational driver's license. Getting that, so if your license is suspended, but you still have to go to work, people do have to work. Applying for and qualifying for those occupational driver's licenses as well. My experience, again, in civil litigation, which is what mainly the JP Court handles, I have over 20 years of experience in civil litigation, as well as being trained as a visiting justice of the peace, having the same training and access to training that a sitting justice of the peace has.
Okay, because I hear my voice. My husband loves me. Many residents, I'm a resident of Precinct 2. Many residents in Precinct 2 don't understand the process of their rights. How will you ensure that people actually understand what's happening in their case before decisions are made?
Well, as y'all can see from me answering these questions, I'm very straightforward. I am not a politician by any means. I speak facts. I will speak clearly. I will make sure that they clearly understand what is being explained to them at all times, all throughout the process. If, a translator is needed, if I have someone whose first language is not English, I would have a translator there also so that people can understand what's going on at all times. Again, like I said, when decisions are made, I will make sure that they know why that decision was made, why I ruled the way I ruled, and what their next step should be.
This position serves northeastern Dallas County, including Garland and surrounding communities. What do you know about the specific needs and challenges of this area, and what do you do as a JP selected to serve the community?
So I have been in Precinct 2 since my teenage years. I grew up in that area, so I'm very well aware of the needs in the community and the people in that. I started out as a teenager in the East Dallas area. I moved to Garland. Also as a teenager, I had my youngest child in Garland before moving to Mesquite. And then I came to Mesquite. I've been here for a little over 19 years. So again, I'm well aware. I am very much a part of the community. I believe in community first. And as a JP, I know that it starts not even before I get on the bench. Being in the community, seeing what the needs are, feeding people. During the pandemic, helping pass out masks, which is what my sister and I did. Just being a part of the community, seeing what is needed, offering mentorship programs, offering internship programs. That is what I have done in the past. That is what I plan to do once elected.
It is that time to close.
I will be very brief. Again, I thank you all so much for being here. I know that it is late. A lot of you guys have worked all day. So thank you again. My name is Christina Whitfield Sowles. I am a candidate for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 2, Place 1 in Garland, covering Garland, Mesquite, Balch Springs, Sunnyvale, Saxe, Wiley, and a portion of East Dallas. I do hope that I have answered all your questions for today, and I hope to earn your vote and your support. Thank you. Website is very simple, Christina Sowles, 4jp.com. Email address is the same as the website. It's Christina Sowles, 4jp@gmail.com.
Next up, we have some more people support. Justice of the Peace, Precinct number 2, Place 2. Anita Harris.
Antoinette.
Look at this again. Antoinette Harris and Katina Whitfield. Good to meet you, man.
Yes, I
All right.
Hi, everyone. My name is Attorney Antoinette Ann Harris. I am running to serve as your next Justice of the Peace for Precinct 2, Place 2. I'm originally from Alexandria, Louisiana. I got my undergraduate degree in criminal justice from UL Lafayette. I then went on to Southern University Law Center where I obtained my Juris Doctorate. And then I got my LLM from Washington University School of Law. My mom taught me to value my education, so I took it a little too far. And I have student loan debt to match. So that's my educational background. I've worked for several different law firms, and now I own my own law firm. I practice both criminal and civil litigation. I want to bring competence, integrity, and efficiency to this bench. I want to engage in community engagement. I want to bring various youth programs to the area. I also want to practice purposeful giving by taking some of the wedding money that the JPs make and reinvest that back into the community. I do have a vision for Precinct 2, and I'm hopeful you all will be open to hearing about it. Thank you all again for being here.
Good evening, everyone. I am Judge Katina Whitfield, and it's truly an honor to serve as your Justice of the Peace for Dallas County, Precinct 2, Place 2. For more than 2 decades, I've dedicated my life to law, public service, and most importantly, to the people of this community. During my time on the bench, we've worked very hard to make this court more efficient, more accessible, and more compassionate. Together, we cleared a long-standing backlog. We've expanded community partnerships, introduced more meaningful options like community service, credit for time served. We stayed open during the most challenging times like the pandemic. I've also had the privilege of serving as presiding judge for all 10 justice courts in Dallas County, helping to strengthen the collaboration and consistency across our systems. But my most proud moment and the proudest title that I have is not judge, it's mom. I've raised 2 amazing sons while balancing the responsibilities of running this court, and that experience keeps me grounded. It reminds me every day that the decisions made inside this courtroom impact real families, real futures, and real lives. This is why I lead with fairness, dignity, and respect for every person who enters into this courtroom. Looking ahead, my vision is clear. I will continue to bring and build a court that prioritizes access to justice, mental health awareness, transparency, and community trust. A court that not only upholds the law, but truly serves the people. Because justice should never feel distant or unreachable. It should feel fair, human, and present in the community that we all call home. I'm proud of what we accomplished together and excited for what we still have ahead.
First question. JP courts see many debt collection cases, bills, credit cards, auto loans. Collection companies have lawyers, defendants often do not. Some debts are legitimate, others involve incorrect amounts, disputed charges, or predatory lending. How do you ensure fairness when one side has legal representation and the other side doesn't?
First thing I do is I look for the chain of custody if it's a bought debt. Most consumers don't know to ask for that, but I would look for that and make sure that the debt is actually owed by that person. Another thing I look for is an arbitration clause in the contract. A lot of consumers don't know to look for that either. After that, a lot of times I would see if there is some sort of settlement that they can enter into. Once that's done, if there are no other options, we talk about how this consumer, could possibly pay this debt off without it being something, another way that it's just weighed down on them. If they can't afford it, they can't afford it even with a judgment. So we just try to figure out the easiest way for them to balance this out without having an undue burden. The question again?
Yes. I got it right this time. Make sure. JP courts see many debt collection cases. Medical bills, credit cards, auto loan. Collection companies have lawyers, defendants often do not. Some debts are legitimate, others involve incorrect amounts, disputed charges, or predatory lending. How do you ensure fairness when one side has legal representation and the other side doesn't?
Well, I would encourage the people in my precinct to attend what I would like to bring to the precinct, which is actually a law school for the community. The police academies have it, the firefighters have it, but I would like to host something similar like that, but in a law school setting, so that everybody knows what their rights are. Of course, I want to ensure due process, and I want to make sure that the debt is actually owed. Like you said, the amounts can be off. We may not have the proper parties before us. So I want to ensure all of that up front. And of course, encourage settlement at all times, from beginning to end. I would like to make it mandatory. I would have to look into it to see if that would be legally possible for me to do. I know with the change in the eviction laws, it's difficult to make settlement in those cases mandatory. But I would like to make that mandatory in my court, at least the attempt.
You will encounter people who will repeatedly appear in JP Court for minor offenses. Multiple traffic tickets, repeated theft under $100, chronic public intoxication. For some, these repeat appearances signal deeper issues like poverty, mental health problems, or substance abuse. What's your approach to repeat offenders in Class C misdemeanor cases?
Well, as a criminal defense attorney, I deal with the kind of people that you just mentioned on a daily basis. I have several repeat offenders that are in and out of their assigned courts. The court knows at this point, just give that one to Antoinette. So I would prioritize mental health treatment. I would also prioritize getting to the source of the real issue. People that are coming in and out of our court systems aren't doing it because they think it's fun. They're doing it because there's an underlying issue that's not being addressed. So I would like to get to the root problem and address that, and then go from there. Could you repeat that question, please?
Yes. You will encounter people who will repeatedly appear in JP courts for minor offenses, multiple traffic tickets, repeated theft under $100, chronic public intoxication. For some, these repeated appearances signal deeper issues like poverty, mental health problems, or substance abuse. What's your approach to repeat offenders in Class C misdemeanor cases?
So the approach to that would be, I would have to agree with my opponent, is to find out what is causing this person to continue to go back to whatever it is that they're using to cope with their problems. We have resources at our court. We partner with Southwest Alliance. That is a mental health group that we advocated to bring into Mesquite, that work with Mesquite and Garland, that we call them the CARES team. And they also work with Parkland Hospital directly. We partner with Sharing Life for people who have housing insecurities, food insecurities, and things like that. A lot of times, these problems are not going to be solved by putting somebody into custody. We have to figure out what's going to help them. We have to figure out what triggers them to self-medicate. And once that's done, they are less likely to offend. We have grief counselors. They may be dealing with something that's causing them this grief, and that's just a self-medication issue. So we have those resources in place.
Now comes to questions from the audience. If you have a question, please step forward.
There's a compulsory returns law that's mandated by the state of Texas. It just basically says that kids need to be in school 90% of the time. If not, they're truant. So I just would like to know what you guys are going to do about the truancy at Warren High School.
So, truancy in the evictions court, truancy in the JP court is not something we handle. Dallas County has truancy courts, with the exception of Grand Prairie. Grand Prairie, their truancy court is in the JP court. Also, Senate Bill 1415, I believe, was killed. That would have brought truancy exclusively back to JP courts. So unless it is parent contributed, truancy is basically dead. We cannot do anything about the students just deciding not to go to school. Another thing is, truancy is not just
it's not always just the kid deciding, I don't want to go to school anymore. It's not where it used to be where your parent dropped you off and you decided not to go into the building. You know, you have to actually look into why this kid is not going to school. There are a lot of issues going on with that, so.
Thank you.
I believe you asked about truancy court, right? And my opponent just mentioned Senate Bill 1415. I looked that up and it's about tax law. So I'm not sure if that was the right bill she mentioned, but I would like to actually advocate for the JP courts to handle truancy matters. If you look in the family code, the JP courts are assigned jurisdiction over those types of matters. So I would like to focus on advocating for that to actually happen. I have a passion for our youth, and I want to be who I needed. I was an at-risk youth. So I'm willing to go to the mat. I'll even go to Austin if need be, to advocate to have a Grand Prairie and Mesquite. We need it. Our 17-year-olds out there are getting arrested at an alarming rate. And Horn is where they're coming from for the most part. So that's what I do.
Any more questions from the audience?
Voters often ask whether a judge understands the community because they served it, or they simply qualify for the seat because of the resume. What should the people of Precinct 2 point to in your Precinct 2 community record that shows genuine roots and sustained commitment to the community?
Well, you can look at my finance reports. A lot of the donations that have been made to my campaign have been sown back into this community. No, I have not been in Precinct 2 for very long, but I moved there with a purpose and an intention and a calling on my life. So I'm well invested into Precinct 2. I'm a member of Mesquite Friendship Baptist Church, where I'm a tithe-paying member and a member of the choir. I know how to move into a space and build a community there. So that's what I have been doing, and that's what I plan on continuing to do in Precinct 2.
First, I would like to say that I raised my children in Precinct 2. You don't have to look at my finance report to see what all I've done in Precinct 2. My opponent mentioned she's willing to go to Austin. Well, I'm there every legislative session. She could have come with me. And I am fighting for the people in Precinct 2 every single legislative session before I even decided to run for a judge, because I have children that were growing up there. I was fighting for my kids and yours. I have coached little leagues. I've been on PTA. I've been in bake sales. I have given to churches that I don't belong to in Precinct 2. I've made sure that people had housing. Precinct 2, I made sure people had coats. I made sure people were warm. I'm still doing things for Precinct 2, people who don't even support me, because that's who I am. Anyone can look at my record in Precinct 2 and know that I care. So
Thank you.
That's my answer.
Again, being a resident of Precinct 2, the question that I have, judicial temperament is about patience, humility, restraint, and emotional control, especially when people are stressed, angry, or unrepresented. How do you ensure that frustration, ego, or personal feelings never show up in your rulings or courtroom conduct?
Well, I don't take anything personally. First and foremost, whether it's an evictions trial, whether it's a small claims case, these proceedings are emotional. Anybody who is facing eviction, anybody who is facing, losing their home, anybody who's being sued, whether it's a frivolous lawsuit or if it's a legitimate lawsuit, they're emotional. They have a story to tell, and they're mad, okay? So they may have this misplaced anger, but by the time they're finished telling me their story, and they've learned that I listen, I even repeat what they say back to me. They calm down. So as long as I'm not taking it personal, we're fine at the end of the day. So that's how you maintain your composure, and you understand that they're not upset with you, they're just upset.
I believe the question was about judicial temperament. I know people have made comments about how passionate I can get, but I maintain a certain level of professionalism when I'm dealing with people. I represent criminal defense clients that get appointed to me by the courts, and boy, I tell you, at least 1 out of 5 of them calls me and curses me out at least once a week. I still meet them with the same level of professionalism each and every time. I understand they're going through a very frustrating period of time, a very frustrating process, but I've also been through very frustrating times and frustrating processes, so I just lead with empathy. I have an understanding of what it's like to traverse obstacles. I know what it's like to feel helpless. I know what it's like to feel disrespected, and I never want anybody to feel like that in the court.
Any more questions? Audience?
In a court where a law degree is not required, what steps should a JP judge take to ensure accurate application of the law and to avoid errors that disproportionately affect unrepresented litigants?
That's a great question. As a licensed attorney in both Texas and are we working now? Okay, we're working now. As a licensed attorney in both Texas and Louisiana, I'm required to maintain a certain number of CLE hours. I believe the judges are required to do the same, the JP judges, but nothing can top actually going through law school. You as a lawyer know that. So I believe that maintaining the principles that are instilled in you in law school, and I know Heather knows SULC will instill those principles in you. Maintaining those principles is key, and then making sure you stay up to date on the new laws. I'm sure y'all know the eviction laws just changed in the state. Staying up to date with CLEs and things like that.
Once you're elected as a justice of the peace, whether you're an attorney, whether you have a law degree or not, we're going through the same classes. I was a paralegal for about 20 years before I was elected as a justice of the peace, and my main focus was civil litigation. So the transition was not difficult for me at all. I actually taught for the Justice Court Training Center for 2 years after I was elected. So they saw something in me, and they felt like I was good enough to teach new justices of the peace. So we are also required to take these CLE classes. It's very important that we do pay attention, that we know what we're doing. And with the new eviction laws that were just mentioned, I helped write those laws. I helped argue against some of the harmful legislation that was introduced in those laws. And we were successful in getting some of those removed. And we argued against those with other laws that were already in place. So having a law degree helps, but it is not required.
As it relates to debt collection, how do you guys feel about conservatorships?
Receiverships?
Yeah, receiverships.
Again, it's a case by case. It's a case by case basis. A lot of times, I feel like if they can't afford the debt, you can't afford to pay a receiver or someone, because it's a case by case basis, really. It just depends. that's a blank, you can't do a blanket answer for something like that. You know, debt claim cases, anything can happen that could cause somebody to go into debt. I want you to understand that. They could afford that credit card when they first got it. And I'm gonna call out Capital One because their interest rates are so high. I'm gonna call them out, okay? And I will tell you that if they could afford it before, now they can't. So they definitely can't afford to pay a conservative or a receiver now. So.
Ms. Brown, to answer your question, I don't really. Hello? Okay. Ms. Brown, your question is about receiverships, correct? I don't really have a feeling either way, for or against them. If the right process is followed and the debt is owed and the order is in place and they want to get a receiver to handle that, that's up to the owner of the debt at that point. So I really don't have a feeling one way or the other. My job would be to apply the law. Also with a sense of humanity and compassion, but to follow the law at the end of the day. So I wouldn't leave with feelings like that.
As a community advocate, there was recently some comments made on the campaign trail. A lot of people in our community have reached out regarding recording in courtrooms. What are your thoughts? Because these are eviction cases and very, very emotionally charged cases. What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, I actually made those comments, that I would offer both parties the opportunity to have the hearing recorded, whether it be via video or audio. I don't know if y'all know this, but JP courts are not courts of record. So anything that happens in that courtroom, nobody will know about it unless you're in that courtroom. I think it's a way to hold myself as the judge, as well as the two parties accountable. There's no stenographer keeping a record of what's happening. So if both of the parties agree, I don't see what the issue would be with having it recorded. And if they don't consent and they don't agree, we will not be recording anything. Again, the purpose of the recording would be to hold everyone accountable and maintain that transparency. And then when they go up on appeal, they would have their own record to rely on.
Today, as my policy, I do not allow recording in the evictions courtroom because of privacy. We have victims of domestic violence, we have victims of family violence, we have wards of the state, and that is the reason why I don't allow recording in the courtroom. Our courtroom has security cameras. If there is an issue where we have to request an open records request, get it from the county. If there is an issue, a judicial issue, or if there's something on appeal that you need that recording for, do an open records request. The last thing I would want to see is someone who has a privacy issue and their case is broadcast on Facebook or on Instagram. That is why I do not allow recording in the courtroom during the evictions case.
All right, we have come to that time for your 2-minute closing. Again, you can go to DallasAlexandria.com tomorrow and get a copy of tonight's forum. Maybe begin.
As I close, I want to return to where I began. This campaign has always been about service, integrity, and trust. For more than 2 decades, I've shown up for this community with fairness, professionalism, and compassion. I've worked to clear backlogs, expand access to justice, serve families in crisis, and lead with dignity from the bench. That work is why respected leaders and organizations across this county, including Stonewall Democrats in Dallas, the 23rd Senatorial District Tejano Democrats, the Dallas County Democrats, have all placed their confidence in me. But endorsements alone don't define this race. Integrity does. And integrity means telling the truth, treating people with respect, and putting the community ahead of politics every single day.
I'm proud of the progress we've made together, and I remain committed to that leadership and the trust and the results that you can see. I respectfully ask for your vote to keep Katina Judge Whitfield as your Justice of the Peace in Precinct 2, Place 2, and we will continue to move forward from this point on, moving with purpose and on point. Thank you. Keep Katina.com.
All right, guys, thank y'all so much for staying here on this Monday evening to hear us both speak about our platforms. Again, my name is Attorney Antoinette N. Harris. I am the only attorney in this race. I'm the only person with a law degree in this race, the only person with an undergraduate degree in this race, and I hope you all will value that. I am 33 years old, and I have spent 20 plus of those years obtaining my education so that when I was prepared to serve, I would be prepared to serve in the most efficient way possible. I have programs that I want to bring to this area for our young people, including Teen Court. It's a program that's deeply personal to me. I went through the program as an at-risk youth, and I believe the youth in Mesquite and the surrounding areas in Precinct 2 would benefit and receive sufficient value from this program. They can start their college career with a resume versus getting to college and having to figure it all out. I'd like to bring mentorship programs to the area as well, and a summer internship program for our youth. I really want to be more active in the community as far as community engagement. I'm already working with Poteet's mock trial team, We just had a competition last week, and I'm currently judging those competitions throughout the rest of the season, mock trial season. Again, I have a heart for our youth. I have the qualifications, I have the credentials, and I also have the heart to serve our community in the utmost efficient way possible. I'm hopeful I can earn y'all support. Again, my name is Attorney Antoinette Harris. You can find me at harrisforjp22.com. Thank you all.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Next up, we hadn't had enough, we have some more People's Court. Justice of the Peace, Precinct 3, Place 2. Zachariah Manning, Paul Gonzalez. All right, as we get ready for your 2-minute opening. Mr. Manning.
Good evening. My name is Zachariah Manning, made, born, and raised here in Dallas County. I'm running to be your next Justice of the Peace in Precinct 3, Place 2. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I am a father of 4, grandfather of 2. I have over 38 years of experience in business, legal, and many other entrepreneurial things. So I am running for this seat to bring fairness, to bring a court that stays on top of the docket, not to have a docket that is not moving. JP courts in Dallas County are the busiest courts in Dallas County. And we need someone that's going to act quickly, and we need someone that's going to be fair, that is involved in the community, that is seen like myself. As a whistleblower in the past, Zach Manning versus Dallas ISD, as a person that stood up and marched in downtown Dallas when things happened with George Floyd. We need someone that's going to be out there in front and active in our community. ZachariahManning.com is where you can learn more information about me. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can you all hear me okay in the back? My name is Paula Rosales. I am running to be your next Justice of the Peace in Precinct 3, Place 2. The courtroom is located off of 635 and Hillcrest. I am very happy to be here. I'm grateful for the invitation and for the opportunity to speak about my candidacy. I am an attorney. For the past 3 years, I have managed the litigation department at a prominent personal injury law firm where we advocate for victims who have been injured or killed due to the negligence of others. Prior to that, I was the Dallas County Court at Law No. 4 presiding judge. I have 5 years of municipal court experience, and the reason I decided to get back into the political arena and run for office and run to serve the community is when it became clear that the tone, the volume, and the tempo of the attacks against the rule of law and the judiciary were going to continue at every level nationally, I realized that it was extremely important that the People's Court have someone who can set the tone and who could be that face-to-face individual to explain why justice matters. I do look forward to your support, Paula Rosales, and I look forward to the questions.
This precinct includes commercial areas with many businesses. You'll see small claims disputes between businesses, vendors, contractors, and customers for unpaid invoices, work not completed to specifications, service contracts, partnership disputes. How do you handle business disputes differently from consumer cases, and what challenges do commercial claims cases present?
Okay, so as the presiding judge of Dallas County Court at Law No. 4, I was the appellate court to all of the JP courts in Dallas County. And what that means is I am greatly familiar with the types of disputes that will come about. The business disputes would, if I understand the question correctly, might involve small business versus small business issues. Maybe a contract term was not followed to the letter, and then someone wants to rescind the contract, or someone did not complete the work job as they had promised they would do, and therefore that's a breach of contract. When you're talking about consumer questions, you are typically thinking about the credit card disputes or consumer debt issues. And oftentimes, in those circumstances, you will likely have someone who is pro se, meaning representing himself or herself, or with an attorney. And so when you have that dynamic, having an opportunity to explain what the law is would go a great way.
Thank you.
Here's the deal. That was a great question. I've been in business for 38 years. I've owned medical rehab clinics in Houston, San Antonio, Oak Cliff, North Dallas area. I've owned several other businesses. I've been a real estate broker here in Texas for over 25 years and in Oklahoma as well. In order to understand business disputes, you have to have some business knowledge. You have to have the experience behind you. You just can't go in a courtroom and try to make business decisions when you have zero working knowledge, hands-on knowledge about business. So, the People's Court, I'm a person, I know about business. I just don't know I know all the legal to go with the business. Thank you.
North Dallas has many neighborhoods governed by homeowner associations with strict rules about property appearance, modifications, and assessments. HOA disputes can become bitter fights between neighbors or between residents and their association. How do you approach HOA cases, and how do you balance enforcement of community standards with individual property rights?
So that's a great question as well. Again, with my real estate knowledge as a real estate broker in Texas, Oklahoma, and an investor, and I own many properties already. So I had a business dispute, property dispute between a neighbor where a tree hung over to the next property. That responsibility of that tree, any limb hanging over to your property, that is considered your limb. So you have to know the law, plus you have to know business. You have to know what the insurance industry is, how that will affect that tree hanging over that property. So I speak from experience and knowing what the law is as a legal professional. So, thank you.
North Dallas has many neighborhoods governed by homeowner associations with strict rules about property appearance, modifications, and assessments. HOA disputes can become bitter fights between neighborhoods or between residents and their association. How do you approach HOA cases, and how do you balance enforcement of community standards with individual property rights?
So the dynamics always depend on whether or not you are facing represented parties or not. If you have attorneys on both sides, we can essentially narrow the issues. It always starts with the HOA contract. What do the terms in the HOA agreement say? But if you are dealing with pro se individuals, having an ability to narrow the issues for the litigants is, I believe, a service that you can provide. Of course, you can never really cross the line between being an advocate and a judge, but having a clear understanding of what the terms are and assisting the parties to narrow down that clause within the HOA agreement will go a long way to not waste everybody's time, but essentially address the facts and the disputes in question.
All right, next question. Beyond hearing cases, JP judges can educate the community about court systems, tenants' rights, small claims procedures, and conflict resolution. What role do you see for you as a JP in community education, and how do you make information about court processes more accessible to residents who have never been in court?
Thank you for that question. I wish I could provide you a 5-minute answer. But what I will say is, number one, establishing policies and procedures and publishing those on the website and also having those available to constituents when they come to the courthouse. The second thing is, I am a certified mediator. I have been over the past 3 years appointed by county and district court judges to serve in mediator disputes in all sorts of cases, property and business, as well as personal injury lawsuits. I would love to promote, and part of my platform would be to promote a more robust mediation program where I will have an opportunity to have mediators on site. A lot of the precinct courts currently do that. You select 1 day per week, or you have the mediator program available at a low cost. I'm not done? Okay. Thank you. And I lost my train of thought.
So here's the deal. Even though you have policies and procedures in place, that's not enough for a lot of our communities. So I live in Hamilton Park, for example. You have to be a community advocate and go into the community and give some of those clinics about these policies and procedures, give them the etiquette about coming into JP court, and then give them the meat and the potatoes about how they should handle their JP case if they do ever show up in front of my court. So I'm gonna be a big advocate about going out into the different communities in my precinct. So that's how I'm gonna handle it. You gotta be hands-on with the people in the people's court.
All right, time for audience questions. Questions from the audience? Don't be shy. All right, next question. Kind of a follow-up to what both of you all said. This court serves northern Dallas counties. What do you know about the specific characteristics of this area, its demographics, its challenges, its needs? How would you tailor your approach to serving this particular community?
So this precinct covers Highland Park, University Park, Hamilton Park, North Dallas, Northeast Dallas, East Dallas, Old East Dallas, Lake Conyers, Lake Rockdale. So far North Dallas is there, Richardson and Addison. So here's the deal. So what I know about this community, it is highly diverse. You have to know how to maneuver between somewhere in Highland Park versus Hamilton Park versus Richardson or Garland. I mean, not Garland, but Addison. So I will tailor my maneuvering through the district because number one, I live in the district. Number two, I'm involved in our community. And so you have to start off by talking to the people in every part of your precinct. And that's what I would do.
Thank you. I have been a resident of Precinct 3 for over 20 years. I attended Southern Methodist University, and I also attend group meetings and community meetings in Precinct 3. Now, in terms of the mixed composition of residents as well as businesses, it is like the gentleman before me said, it is extremely varied. You're going to have commercial issues, and those rules are different than the residential issues. In the residential issues, you will have, you're going to have to distinguish on whether or not you are dealing with a property management plaintiff or a landlord, mom and pop, having their second business as their investment or as their retirement plan. And so when you're addressing the different facts and the different renters, if you will, your approach will have to be on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you. All right. Question from the audience. The public's understanding of JP Court authority is limited. What is one misconception about JP Courts you want to correct for voters?
JP courts are one of the most important courts there are. The subject matter jurisdiction is extremely wide. Not only do JP courts handle landlord disputes, they handle small claims court, Class C misdemeanors, and also licensing issues. I think a presenter before me touched upon the occupational driver's license questions. I believe also we discussed the revocation of licenses. But one element that was missing from that list is the handling of handgun license appeals. So a JP court may have the jurisdiction of determining whether or not a particular individual can keep a handgun. Additionally, an extraordinary responsibility and power that a JP judge has is the ability to sign a warrant for your arrest, a search and seizure warrant, and those require, in my opinion, training, legal training in criminal law, which I have.
The public's understanding of JP Court authority is limited. What is one misconception about JP Courts you want to correct for voters?
So one of the misconceptions is a lot of times people don't know that JP Court is a de novo court. So whatever ruling that you may not like that comes from a JP court, you can appeal it to the county court. And so it's like your case is starting all over. Like it was never heard in JP court. So a lot of times people don't understand that you're getting a brand new case if you ever do appeal JP ruling, because it's de novo, it's a de novo appeal.
Next question. Some litigants believe JP courts favor property owners or businesses. What safeguards would you apply to help ensure that every party, regardless of status, receives equal consideration?
That is a great question. And being on both sides as a property owner and a tenant in my early 18, 19 years of age, I would listen to any landlord-tenant issue coming before me. It has to go before mediation first. So we can see if we can resolve the issue before proceeding down the line of drawn out legal time, cost, and all of that good stuff.
Councilman, would you repeat the question, please?
No problem. Some litigants believe JP Court favors property owners or businesses. What safeguards would you apply to help ensure that every party, regardless of status, receives equal consideration?
In courts, in Texas courts, there are not, the rules are the same, whether you are represented by counsel or not. And so making that clear will be the first step. One of the things that I look forward to is continuing the presence of the Dallas Eviction Center in the courtroom. This is a nonprofit organization that essentially serves tenants. And what they do is they conduct a review of the file from the landlord. And they are able to point out deficiencies. These efficiencies are not grasped out of thin air. They are based on the property code. And if they're able to point those things out for the court, then the court will have an ability to discern whether or not the defense at that point in time for the tenant is valid. However, because I have been a county court at law judge hearing those appeals, I know these laws. And Senate Bill 1333 will require a trained individual to interpret the law.
Thank you. Final question. I know they're kind of quick. JP courts hear both routine and highly personal disputes. How do you mentally separate cases to ensure that one difficult hearing does not affect the next decision?
First, you take a break, you take a breath, you go back in chambers, and I think one key thing that great jurists do is try to understand the file before they take the bench. Try to narrow down the issues, understand them factually and legally. And I think that that's really what one can do to separate the sentiments from case to case. Remembering that this will likely be the most important day in court for individuals that come before me is going to be at the forefront of everything that I do. I was raised by two human rights attorneys who instilled in me the belief that everyone deserves an opportunity to be heard and to be treated with dignity and respect. And so understanding the humanity in each and every litigant will essentially be a compass to separate those emotions from one case that was harder than the other.
First and foremost, you have to be a judge of the JP court that is not bought and paid for. I would employ each and every one of you to go look at both of our campaign financial reports. You'll see who's bought and paid for, because you can't separate the two. You can't separate, stick to your race. Okay. You can't separate your decision, what you make, when somebody contributes in such a way to your campaign. So that's first and foremost. So I will listen to each case fairly and honestly and with all due respect to both sides. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. My staff will be friendly and respectful and helpful to anybody coming in my courtroom.
All right, we've come to the time of your 2-minute closing. As we are preparing for our 2-minute closing, remember, you can go to DallasExaminer.com tomorrow to view tonight's forum. And as the candidates are preparing their 2-minute closing, they will keep it to their campaigns only. Thank you.
All right. Again, my name is Zachariah Manning. You probably have seen many signs out there advertising my campaign. And what it boils down to is this JP 3-2 needs someone that's going to be fair, that's going to be equitable to both sides, that's going to listen, and that's going to have a staff that is friendly, respectful, and approachable. That's the first step, because when you come into a JP court and you are confronted with someone with anger, you can't have that coming in, because that's going to throw you all the way off as a plaintiff or a defendant coming into my courtroom. So that's going to be a requirement for my staff, that you have to be helpful and approachable. So it starts at the top, and that's going to start with me by giving my courtroom making it the best possible way for any plaintiff or defendant coming in there. So I would ask you to go check out my site, Google my name, and you'll see what I've been about in the community, and you'll see that this seat is a seat that we cannot afford to just give to someone just for whatever reason they may want it. It has to be something that is going to be upheld in this community, and I'm the right person for that. ZachariahManning.com. Thank you.
Again, I'm Paula Rosales, and I'm running to be your next Justice of the Peace in Precinct 3, Place 2. I am proud of the support that I have received. I am a member of the Dallas Trial Lawyers Association, and the advocates from that organization have decided to put their faith in me because they have seen my work as a Dallas County Court of Law judge. They have seen my work as a municipal court judge, and they have seen my work as a visiting Justice of the Peace judge for several JP courts, including the one I'm running for. I am the best candidate to have the seat, and here are the 2 reasons. One, I will be facing a general election. The individual who is running in the general election is an attorney as well. And I firmly believe, and I truly say this from my heart, that a trained attorney, a trained jurist, and a community member, a community servant leader needs to be the next JP 3-2. I have, my record speaks for itself. Not only have I had those positions, one was elected, the other was appointed by the City Council 3 times. I've also served in the City of Dallas Ethics Commission, and the City of Dallas Cultural Affairs Commission. I look forward to working with the youth. I look forward to working with the communities. I have been at several neighbors associations, including the Hamilton Park Association, and I will continue to do so. I've made myself accessible. I will have a robust mediation program, a robust internship program, and I will also have an interactive website. So, Justice of the Peace candidate for Precinct 3, Place 2, Paula Rosales. My website is rosalesforjustice.com, and my email is paulaforjudge, all spelled out, @gmail.com.
Thank you. Give us a candidates. Thank you. All right. Now, for our final race of the evening, let's talk about education. Let's get informed about being informed. My son say, thinking about thinking. State Board of Education, place 13. Candidates Tiffany Clark first, and Kimberly Boswell second. Before we get started on our 2-minute opening statements, I take a privilege to say I wish that more people were here to hear this. This is probably one of the most important races because it is the foundation by which every candidate has come up here and has used their education, especially in Texas, where we have individuals that want to minimize some and maximize others for no given reason. We have to understand that education determines zip codes. So I wish more people were here to ask the questions and wonder why certain things are in your area, or why your ISD is the way it is, or why your public school or your colleges are the way they are, the junior colleges the way they are, what they are or not. So with that, we'll begin with our 2-minute opening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank y'all for staying late tonight. Thank you to the Dallas Examiner for putting this on. I am Dr. Tiffany Clark. I currently serve as your State Board of Education District 13 representative. I have been a teacher, a counselor, an adjunct professor, a 2-term trustee for a local school board where I earned master trustee status. What does that mean? That means I have traveled across the state of Texas working with other school board trustees to help determine what is best for our students across the state of Texas. I ran on this seat last year for an unexpired term. Now I'm going for a full 4 terms. I look forward to your support and vote. I am number 1 on your ballot for Dallas and Tarrant County.
Good evening. I am Dr. Kimberly Boswell. I am a 28-year veteran in the public school system. I am running for this seat because at the beginning of this school year, our administrative staff sat together and looked at the new Senate and House bills for the 89th legislature. And I have to say that it was very disheartening to see some of the decisions made about our libraries and made about what we can call our students and what student unions cannot be present on our campus. As a 28-year veteran in education, I believe that my experiences as a teacher, as an instructional coach, an assistant principal, and as a principal is what is needed to help bring some awareness to what we need in District 13. I am asking for your vote to sit on the seat of the Texas State Board of Education to use my voice to support our community and being a part of the decisions that are made at the state level and those decisions that impact us at the campus and district level. Thank you.
Most voters don't fully understand what the State Board of Education does. Explain the board's primary responsibility and powers. What decisions does the State Board of Education make that directly affect students in District 13 schools? And why should voters care about this race?
So, thank you for that question. The State Board of Education makes important decisions about curriculum, about what is taught in our classrooms, and the resources that teachers use to teach them. The State Board of Education sets the standards, and the Texas Education Agency shares resources, and then those resources are decided upon by the Texas State Board of Education, and this is what becomes what we teach inside of our classrooms. The State Board of Education also oversees the Permanent School Fund. This fund is an endowment that really fuels the education in Texas. They're also responsible for preparation programs and other programs that help us to keep our education program moving forward. This is a very important role in our state, as it is the foundation for what our students will learn.
Thank you. So State Board of Education is responsible for three main buckets. We are responsible for your TEKS, your Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills, which is your curriculum. Following under curriculum is our instructional materials. We're currently under what we call instructional material review right now, where we look at all the different publishing companies and we determine great curriculum for our students. Last year, they voted for the Blue Bonnet curriculum. I was not on the board at that time when that vote took place. We're also responsible for permanent school funds, which is actually the TEA bond agency. It is not our allocation. It is responsible for if a school district wants to use a bond through the agency. And then we're responsible for approving and denying charter schools. So when you see charter schools come in to and from the districts, your state board is responsible for approving those charter schools. We do not have oversight of the preparation programs. Those actually fall under our State Board of Education certification, which is a separate board outside of State Board of Education.
Both of y'all may have spoke briefly about this. The State Board of Education sets curriculum standards for what Texas students learn. This includes subject areas that generate controversy, how slavery and civil rights are taught in history, climate change and science, sex education. When you're making curriculum, or if elected or all in office, how do you balance academic integrity with community values?
That's a great question. So for me, how I balance integrity is what would I want my students to learn if I had students currently in the education system? What do I want to teach that's going to give my students the best opportunity to thrive and succeed? So currently on State Board, we've looked at social studies curriculum, and we've also looked at the curriculum for career tech education courses. So we're reviewing all of those. I had to really rely on my background as far as a counselor, so we knew exactly when these courses should be taught to our students. So I look at how can we use our economy and how can our students thrive, especially in our career technology education side. And on the history side, I've been fighting to make sure we teach the truth so that every single one of our students have representation. When I was on the DeSoto ISD school board, before it even made it to state, we offered Mexican American studies and African American studies. Those were two things to make sure that representation mattered. So prior to state board level, that was already done on the DeSoto ISD, and I spearheaded that initiative. Thank you.
The State Board of Education sets curriculum standards for what Texas students learn. This includes subject areas that generate controversy, how slavery and civil rights are taught in history, climate change and science, sex education. When you're making curriculum decisions, how do you balance academic integrity with community values?
So when it comes to curriculum and instruction and academics, I think all instruction should be aligned to, the first is our standards. We need to make sure that all materials are aligned to standards. We need to make sure that the instructional materials are student-centered. We need to make sure that they encourage critical thinking, and we need to make sure that it's age-appropriate. In my current school where I work, we do offer African American studies and Mexican American studies. That's how we are able to keep the connection with our students and our community.
Next question. The State Board of Education reviews and approves textbooks and instructional materials for Texas public schools. Because Texas is such a large market, your decision influences what publishers produce for schools nationwide. What criteria should textbooks approval, what criteria should guide textbook approval? And how do you evaluate whether instructional materials are appropriate and accurate?
So I think we need to keep research in mind because as the world continues to change, there's new practices, there are new strategies, there are new resources. So we all need to always need to rely on the data that comes from research. We also should reach out into the community, listen to our educators, listen to our parents, have different forums and different organizational input so that we can have a good idea of what, not just what we feel that we need, but what the community feels that is needed.
Yes, so when we talk about looking at the process of publishing companies and textbooks, it is an extenuous process. So it starts with, we have work groups that are set up, and the work groups meet in Austin, they convene, and they review the materials. They're actually called suitability reviewers. So they are paid educators who come down to Austin, they spend time there, and they review every single one of the textbooks. They look for different things, especially in our English side, to make sure we are hitting all the phonetic awareness, all sounds, anything that our students actually need to thrive is what we look at, especially on the reading language arts side. So we start by suitability reviewers, then we have quality reviewers, and from that we then look to see what comes to us as state board, where we then go in and review every single one of the publishing. So that's how we review curriculum and textbooks.
Time for our audience questions.
Good evening. With the governor's removal of DEI out of K through 12, how does that impact what you all do?
Great question. So while he did say that we can't use diversity, equity, inclusion in our courses and coursework, I still stand firm on making sure our students are represented. So while he says that, there are several of us currently on the state board who go around that, and we find synonyms to replace those words, and we still make sure that our students are represented at all times. There was just a press conference in our November board meeting where we talked about exactly this and making sure, regardless of how the governor feels, we still are the minority here, the majority here now in Texas, so representation matters. So every time we show up, we look at the data and we make sure that representation, every single board meeting I ask specifically, how are we closing the gap for minority students to make sure that that is still at the front of everything we do.
So as a current administrator in the public school system, we have had to figure out different ways to still connect with our students and our community and to still keep that diversity on our campus. And so we have had to change some of our names. We might not have the Black Student Union anymore, but we do have another group that we have on campus that we are able to, again, connect with our students. And so, again, even though that is what the decision has been made, we are the people in the community. We know what our students need in our district, in our schools. We are the ones that can make those decisions to keep the connection with our students.
There has been tremendous disparity in the funding for public education compared to the current voucher system and others. And the relationship of parental interaction and responsibility for children with special needs. What do you see doing with SBOE to help mitigate those issues?
Challenges with funding and public school voucher. So while I do believe that parents have the ultimate right to decide where they would like their students to go, I am not in support of taking money from the public schools and using them to fund tuition for private schools. As a school leader, I see how important it is to keep the funds in our schools, and for the $6,160 that the state gives each district for each student, we use those dollars spread out wide across the campus. As far as special education needs and some of the disparities there, we just have to make sure that we're continuing to push forward policies that will make sure that we can keep the needs of our students first, and that we always are advocates when we're faced with the oppositions that put those barriers in front of us.
$3,725 is the discrepancy between student vouchers and our public school students. It's huge. We see it every day. However, State Board does not write policy. So when it comes to getting that information and that money, we have to go down and fight with our House of Representatives and our senators to ensure that they understand the value. So as an SBOE member, what I like to do is stay in contact with them. So I talk to my House representatives, I talk to the senators in our area to let them know we need them to go back in this 90 legislation and give us more than $55 and fight for us. And that goes the same thing for our students, with our special education students with their needs. We have to go through and make sure that they are giving our students more resources, more funding, and that we have more teachers to be able to fill that gap and fill that void. That's the disconnect that we have with our special education students. So it's important for us to go back to our House reps and to our senators and let them know we need more funding.
The State Board of Education sets minimum graduation requirements for Texas high schools. This involves balancing college preparation, career readiness, and student choice. Should graduation requirements emphasize traditional academics or career and technology education, or give students more flexibility in preparing them for their future?
Great question. So right now we have a balance of both. So students take their 4-year regular academic courses, and then they have what they now call endorsements. Every student chooses an endorsement which sets them up for their college career track or trajectory of what they think they possibly want to go through. Through that work, they're able to earn different certifications. So whether they want to go the career route, they want to go cosmetology, whatever that school district offers. Currently at State Board, we just added more career choice opportunities because our students need more choices. We need to be able to adapt. So we've added more IT technology classes, we've added more hospitality courses, we've added more healthcare courses, because we see that that's the niche our students are going through. So based off the data, we've added more courses. So I definitely believe it needs to be a true balance so that when our students graduate high school, they can either walk out, be college, career, military ready, and thrive in this world.
I currently serve in a high school setting, and what my opponent said is definitely correct. So we do have our high school program where we have our endorsements, and there is CTE and the pathways that students can take in order to get started in their career. We have college and career readiness, we have different CTE programs, we have business, we have hospitality, we have culinary, so we have all of those pathways. But what we're finding with our students is that they're not all interested in career and technology as we are providing that curriculum to them. They're interested in maybe construction or maybe more of hospitality, or maybe something else differently that we have not been able to offer traditionally. So we have to make sure that we are continuing to enhance those programs, make more offerings, so that we can have students to take advantage of those pathways regardless of their interests and still come out and be successful members of society.
Lieutenant Governor has put forth an agenda for the upcoming the Senate legislative session. And one of his items is considering lowering the homestead exemption for seniors from 65 to 55 years of age. What impact will that have on you all?
So I know that our public education funding comes from taxes that are paid from our community members, and we know that we often fall short, and it really depends on what area that we live in and what that tax rate, home tax rate is in that area. I think having a decrease will impact us in such a way that maybe we will still need more funding. Currently, again, if they incorporate the voucher system, we are going to lose money, and that would mean that the state may need to come in and provide that extra layer of funding that we are missing.
Whether it's a homestead or a voucher, it impacts our students every single day. It impacts our neighborhood schools. So that means we have to find more partners. We have to find more education foundations to bridge the gap to support our school districts. Ultimately, it is going to impact anything that has to do with taxes, and our students not receiving the full value of what they need definitely has a hindrance on our students' education, the halls they walk, the foods they eat, every single thing. So we just need to partner with businesses, support education foundations in your local communities, and make sure we bridge the gap for our students.
All right. The State Board of Education members serve 4-year terms and help shape education for over 5 million Texas students. What's your vision for the public education in Texas, and how can you keep your constituents informed to be able to help you accomplish your vision?
Great question. So how do I keep my community engaged? I currently started a newsletter when I was elected last year in January that goes out before every state board meeting to let them know what to expect. It has call to actions in there to let them know how to show up, how to be a part of what's happening. And I also do a recap after state board meetings, letting them know exactly what was voted on, how we, and what to expect next. I also have done community engagement events. I actually just left one tonight, a voter summit before I got here. We did a youth policy summit in October where we engaged our students. So I'm always doing community town halls and events with different stakeholders to ensure that they understand what's happening in Austin and how to support State Board locally in our community. I also have partnered with the superintendents in District 13 and the trustees in District 13, making sure they're continually informed of what's happening through my newsletters and through breakfasts.
Can you repeat the question?
State Board of Education members serve 4-year terms and help shape education for over 5 million Texas students. What's your vision for public education in Texas, and how will you keep your constituents informed to help you achieve your vision?
So my vision for Texas schools is to have well-supported schools. That is well-supported schools in funding, making sure that we have adequate staff, making sure that we can retain our teachers. Again, making sure that our preparation programs and the partnership that we do have with those, making sure that those programs are adequately preparing teachers and leaders to lead and teach in the current climate that we exist in on today. And how I would keep constituents involved is newsletters, having forums, visiting school districts, visiting schools, and just having those conversations in the community and with parents and with students to make sure that they feel connected to the changes and the decisions that are being made.
All right, so it is, like I said, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, so it is that time for 2-minute closing. If you would, again, as we prepare to close and you are formulating your closing, you can go to DallasExaminer.com tomorrow to get a copy of tonight's forum. With that, we'll begin.
All right, I am Dr. Kimberly Boswell, and as I shared before, I am a 28-year veteran in the public school system. Most of my years have been right here in District 13. I have experienced what the teachers experience. I know what our students need. I know what it takes, and I know the things that need to be negotiated on the behalf of our students and our teachers and our leaders to make sure that we do have well-supported schools. I do hope that I can earn your vote. You can find me at www.kim4change.com.
I am Dr. Tiffany Clark, your current State Board of Education member. I am asking for your support and your vote for re-election. We need to re-elect experience, we need to re-elect tenure, we need to re-elect totality of being a teacher, counselor, adjunct, and policy stakeholder. I understand what's important when our students need us the most. I have shown up in Austin to advocate for our students. I show up in Dallas and advocate for our students. I am well-rounded and versed on how to work across the aisle with my current board members, and that is not something you can walk into overnight. It is a hard situation to walk into. Our current state board only has 4 school educators on there, so it is important to keep experience, keep educators, and understand what we're walking into in Austin. I am going to continue to fight for a balanced curriculum, making sure that we increase our career and technology courses. I'm going to make sure that we continue to teach the truth. I'm going to make sure that we fight for mental health for our students and staff. And I'm going to show up and make sure that this current book list does not get pushed out to our students, because we do not need to indoctrinate our students with religion beliefs, no matter how Baptist I am as a member of Friendship West Baptist Church. We do not need our students to understand that leverage. I am asking for your votes and support. I am Tiffany Clark. I am #1 on your ballot in Dallas and Tarrant County. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook as Dr. Tiffany Clark, and on TikTok as well. Go follow and you'll see some of the videos. Enjoy your night.
And that, my friends, is the end of tonight. As we leave out, remember to go and check your voter registration status. Just make sure you're still registered to vote. Please do that. And remember, don't vote alone. Friends don't let friends vote alone. Take someone with you. Have a good night.